Welcome to today's webinar, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend time with Scott Miller and me. We are very excited to do this webinar and wrap up the launch of the new Project Builder and Configurator and library functionality. Through the story that we'll tell you today, you'll see that this is something that Sustainable Minds and Knauf have been working on for quite some time with a lot of people involved to ensure that we are bringing the best-in-class solution to market. Today, we're going to start out by me talking about Sustainable Minds and what we've been doing over the years to arrive at this point. There are a number of folks on the webinar who I think are new to Sustainable Minds and hope that will prove interesting. And we'll summarize really what are the product transparency challenges that manufacturers like Knauf are facing today, but not only for manufacturers, but the corollary challenges for architects, builders, and contractors, ultimately in concert with manufacturers to build higher performing, greener, and healthier buildings. Then Scott's going to tell his story and the Knauf story about their product transparency journey and their journey about how they've really led the market in transforming the way insulation products are made. And that will lead us up to a demo and a tour of the new Project Builder, Configurator, and library. And then we'll move into some Q&A, and when it's all over, we invite each and every one of you to go to the Knauf showroom, explore, and start a project. We are recording this webinar, and we'll send you the link after it's posted in the next day or two. We'll also be happy to send you the deck. You can request it on your way out. By way of introduction to Sustainable Minds, we're a software company, but we're an unusual kind of software company because we have evolved to develop core competencies and skills to be able to bring software and technology solutions to market to address the challenges that we have been set up to address. So we are a B2B cloud provider of environmental product transparency applications, data, and services. We are a mission-based company, which means that everything we do is to drive forward our mission to operationalize environmental performance in mainstream manufacturing and product development for the purpose of driving innovation and growth. Not for, I'm using air quotes, doing the right thing. It's really about advancing our economy by helping manufacturers and industry make better decisions that ultimately have less impact, and in this case, on the built environment and human health. So we look something like some of the verifiers and program operators that you work with, ASTM, NSF, UL, because we are a program operator. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We started Sustainable Minds. I started Sustainable Minds, and Terry Swack, the CEO and founder, 10 years ago. It's hard to believe a decade has gone by, but we started the company with the vision of bringing lifecycle assessment and eco-design tools delivered in the cloud, simplified for product development teams to be able to make better decisions in the design of products so that they're making better products from the start. Now, when we started looking at the building construction industry, the advent of LEED v4 introducing product transparency in 2012, we started to look more broadly. Manufacturers face two pretty sizable problems, which are the flip side of a coin. They want to credibly design greener products, and they want to credibly market greener products. And it's all the same drivers driving both things. Cost of natural resources, regulation, risk management as external drivers, but internal drivers are the desire for new products, new revenues and customers through innovation, and ultimately building a brand that continues to evolve and be valued by customers and by the market. So now that we look at product transparency, why has it become such a big deal in the last few years? And the reason it's become a big deal is because there's a lot more green building rating systems who have decided to offer credits for product transparency. And frankly, the USGBC and LEED have done a really great job of getting the AEC community on board with requesting from manufacturers, hey, single attribute certifications and disclosures aren't enough anymore. They are great, but they tell only a slice of a story. Product transparency, meaning environmental performance disclosures and material ingredient disclosures, tell the entire story from the entire product lifecycle perspective as well as the full material ingredient perspective. That's a comprehensive story. But now manufacturers get to decide, do they invest in product transparency to help design greener products, or to market greener products, or to actually do both? Because they are the flip side of the same coin, it's a continuous improvement loop. If you're designing greener products, you're going to be able to market those greener products in a credible way. But at the end of the day, architects, builders, and contractors are not looking for disclosures. They're looking for products with disclosures. So we ask manufacturers all the time, have you made it easy for your customers and prospects to find your products with disclosures? And what will they learn about how you make your products when they find them? So Sustainable Minds is all on board with product transparency does help build credibly greener brands, but not by simply producing disclosures. The value for manufacturers to provide this kind of information about their products comes from demonstrating that they understand what it means and they actually know what they're doing. Because on the other side, architects, builders, and contractors need information that's consistent, understandable, and meaningful to be able to make informed decisions. And when they get that, that builds trust. Trust builds powerful brands, and powerful brands create preference and value for their companies. But as we look at the market today, architects, builders, contractors, engineers are challenged with finding products with disclosures. And when they do find those products with disclosures, the disclosures aren't very easy to understand, and they're really not designed to be used easily to make decisions. And certainly the manufacturers are continually challenged to do more, maintain an early mover advantage if they were early, because now lots of manufacturers have gotten started. So where it might have been a differentiator just to have disclosures, maybe not so much anymore. I think mostly those manufacturers who have invested quite a bit, and even those who are now investing a little bit later in the game, still challenged with connecting that investment directly to sales. So it's just costing more to do what seemed to be the same thing. And now you have to be able to deliver those disclosures to salespeople, distributors, partners, educate people about where they can be found, how to use them. So that's a whole bunch more effort that wasn't required previously. You've got customers asking you for things they hadn't been asking for before, and you have to, keep developing that brand. So there's a lot of challenges on both sides during this emerging product transparency trend, and it's here to stay. It's not going away. The opportunity is to continue to address these challenges and drive it to a conclusion that results in what we all want, which is building higher performing buildings that reduce impact on the built environment and human health. That reduce impacts on the natural environment and human health, excuse me. It also turns out that still today, most architects will go and research products on a manufacturer's website first if they're in early stage design. So, the opportunity is really to help manufacturers get their products found on their own website as well as in a central location, so that no matter where somebody looks, they're going to find those products with transparency information from those brands who have invested. And today, the challenge when users go to a manufacturer's website is most of them have not been designed to easily identify those products with transparency information. And again, that's because it's kind of new, and it's a big deal to get a website redesigned, as all of you who are on this call know only too well. So with that, Sustainable Minds has, over the past 4 years, been developing what we call our transparency products, which are, in fact, next-generation marketing tools that turn disclosure into brand value by integrating product transparency into product marketing. Because, in fact, product transparency is product marketing. So it really doesn't make sense to have separate multiple tools if now it's some of the criteria that people are going to use to inform decisions. Why have the information that they've used to make traditional decisions, functional performance, aesthetics, cost, safety, in a different place, and have product transparency in someplace else, in another kind of document? Let's put it all together and let's make it understandable for regular people. So let's make this technical information accessible and create value for those manufacturers by enabling them to tell their stories in a standardized way, making it easy for sales and partners to use, and ultimately to deliver a great customer experience and build a credibly greener brand. We've developed 3 transparency products: our transparency report, our material health overview, and performance fact sheet. They all get delivered in a brand showroom so people can find your products with transparency information. Our transparency report is our flagship transparency product. It is our brand of EPD. It is an EPD. I can't stress that enough. It is a Type 3 environmental declaration. It's an innovation because it's delivered in the cloud and it's 3 pages. Nobody needs 10 pages, 20 pages. Nobody needs a brief and a full EPD. The entire story can be told in 3 pages, and in fact, page 3 is optional, but it's where the manufacturer can really tell what they're doing to improve. The material health overview, again, was developed to standardize material ingredient reporting and be able to do the same thing, be able to explain what do those disclosures mean, integrate it with content about the product, and make it possible for people to get all the information they need in one place, and to deliver it in a standardized way so that no matter what technical program for material disclosure is used, now those results can be understood quickly, explained, understand the value in the rating systems, and all in a consistent delivery. So now this hasn't happened overnight. Just to show you how we think about product development, we focused first on understandable and meaningful with the delivery and the creation of the transparency reports. Our first technical program, when we became a program operator, we created the first 2-part PCR program for North America, and then the material health overview. So that was 3 years working on understandable, meaningful, and standardization. In 2016, we launched the catalog at Greenbuild, so it's been about a year, when we tackled findability. And this year at Greenbuild with Knauf is when we have introduced the project builder, configurator, and library, where now we're implementing Actionable. For those of you who've not looked at the catalog before, it is an educational, marketing, and customer service platform. We don't call it a product database, although it has similarities to straight up product databases, but it's been designed to do all the things we've talked about. And most importantly, it's been designed to reward those brands who have invested in product transparency to drive change in the market. I'd like to now introduce Scott, who we met probably 2 years, a year and a half ago now. And Scott's going to tell you the story of Knauf Insulation and how we got together in this strategic partnership to build this next piece of the transparency catalog. So Scott, take it away.
Okay, Terry, thank you. I'm going to be very respectful of your time. Just a few slides. I think I have control now. When Terry and I first talked, we were sharing thoughts about how to present manufacturer's information in a very actionable way. And I'll talk about some of my concerns prior to that conversation. So I am Director of Sustainability and Product Affairs at Knauf Insulation North America, where obviously I'm very involved with sustainability issues, but I'm also involved to educate both internal and external audiences about the aspects of our product offering. And to a large extent, what we're doing today is an educational process, because I think we kind of raise the bar, and I hope you feel the same way when you see this. So as a manufacturer, when it comes to transparency and sustainable development in general, how do you tell your story as a manufacturer? How do you get your message out there? It's very, very difficult and frustrating if you are not rewarded for your sustainable development. And how do we get credit for the market transformation that we've actually caused by some of our activity? How do we get our EPDs, our declare labels, HPDs, and all of our various certifications out in front of people? And how do we tell people what we're actually doing from a sustainable development standpoint? And how do we get a return on our investment? I think this is a concern of every manufacturer in the United States that's going down the road of sustainable development and wondering if they're going to get a return on investment, and how in the heck do you measure it? How not to be considered just another Me Too product. And to be frank, our information is scattered all over the place. I mean, you can come to our website and get some things. You can go to UL's website and get some things. You can go to other websites and piece it all together. But I found that very frustrating. And sometimes I was even asked questions that I found frustrating gathering that information to give to people. So, from a leadership standpoint, we've done a lot of neat things, whether it's our Green Guard certification, being the first company in the United States to have it in 2002 from an indoor air quality standpoint, or our introduction of bio-based chemistries with what we believe is one of the largest green chemistry initiatives ever launched in the United States, outside of ethanol maybe. We've had these things, and that leadership, I think, is expected by many of our customers that are intimate with us, and they want us to continue to lead. And how do you continue to lead after you've done, you've checked a lot of the boxes? What's your next thing? And today we're leaders in these things, these recycled content, ingredient disclosure, environmental product declarations. We have 17 environmental product declarations if you take all of our variants of products and lump them together. That's an amazing amount, considering we were at 3. So we've done a lot of work. How do we get that information out there? If you want that LEED v4 credit, where you need 20 EPDs and no more than 4 from one manufacturer, we have 17 options today. Why shouldn't you know that? And this is a way to help us do that. And we are still the only company that offers really a total range of formaldehyde-free products in the marketplace. And I don't think people know that either. So we're talking about our next transformative thing. And look, we held hands with the design community with the design of this tool. And our view of you as design professionals is there's just so many products for you to sort through to do a green building project. It's kind of mind-boggling. And if you're having trouble sourcing my product, how difficult is it for you to source everybody's product? So you end up visiting company web pages to find information in silos, and you click through, and you find it difficult to get certificates or validations to put in your folder for your project. And of course, you have to go more than one place to do this. You may have hired a summer intern to catalog materials, and that information is so very dated as soon as it might have been put into a manila folder. So you look for differentiation in products or basis design, and you have trouble finding it. So with Sustainable Minds, and this was a brainstorm, this Knauf insulation showroom, this was Terry and I thinking, what's the next best thing or the next big thing we can do with regard to information and transparency? And it is a showroom, and it contains transparency reports, which is all of our EPD information. It contains our ingredient disclosures and how we go about making our product better. And this project builder allows you to library and collect products in a folder. And it also provides links to all of our validations. So you don't have to go looking for it. It's all in one place. We believe that once you use it, you'll want all manufacturers to do what we just did. And thank you very much for being on today. And Terry, I'm going to hand it back to you for a demo.
Thank you, Scott. I'm going to dive into the demo, and let me start by saying when Scott said we held hands with the design community, what does that mean? My own background is as a designer and a software designer from using user-centered product development techniques. So when we started this project, we first developed some concepts, some low-fidelity prototypes, some questions, and we put together about 10 different architects who knew something about insulation, who knew something about sustainability, who might have known something about one or the other, who might have known something about both, so that we could really focus in on who are we designing this for, and when we can really be clear about who it's designed for, how do we build something for them that makes them incredibly happy? And then there's a whole series of other people that they work with that will be incredibly happy because the primary persona is incredibly happy. In this design and development process, we went through 3 iterations of design, testing, and more design, and finally into development and alpha and beta testing. So what we've brought to market is robust, stable, thoughtful, and we have a very long roadmap to be able to continue to execute on. So here we are at the Transparency Catalog, and we're promoting now that we have the project builder. Before I dive in there, I want to show you quickly, you can always go to the Quick Start Guide, and the Quick Start Guide, you'll see the theme is learn while you do. It gives you an overview of all the sections and what you can do on each page. It is pretty brief because it's a quick start guide, but it's a good way to dive in without feeling a little bit overwhelmed. But that said, most people just like to get started, and so you can, and it's really easy. So let's do that. So we come to the Knauf showroom, and let's imagine that I'm an architect working on a project. Let's say maybe it's a hospital project. And I come to the Knauf showroom, and I can see that got this project builder capabilities. I can peruse the products that Knauf has, organized by product group or type, as well as master format division. But let's say I'm an architect who knows a lot about sustainability and product transparency, and not quite that much yet about specifying insulation. So we've provided some filters that allow people to see which products are recommended for which types of applications for envelope and interior or mechanical systems. And once I've filtered down to the products I want to learn about, I can click in, and now it takes me to a transparency report. But because a transparency report, which is, remember, it is an EPD, but it's an innovation in EPDs because it integrates product transparency with product marketing, I can learn everything I need to know about this product. I can even go to the Knauf website to learn more if I want to get deeper into it. And right here, right front and center, is access to the three-part spec. So we're really thinking from findability all the way through to specification, because that's ultimately how the products get purchased. You can see all the environmental information, all the certifications and ratings. And now I can actually go ahead and look at the LCA results. This is page 2 of the transparency report. On the left side is all the technical results from the LCA as required to be reported in a Type 3 environmental declaration. But we do a lot to try to make the LCA results understandable. So in a glance, a user can see how many life cycle stages were included, which information modules were included. We even illustrate those life cycle stages with actual images from the manufacturer. You can continue to scroll down and see all of the characterized results that are required to report on the LCA, which very few people understand. And so again, we do try to provide a lot of just-in-time learning in the interface. So all of these units in which the impact categories are measured have a definition so people can learn about what those mean. You can scroll down, see the value in the rating systems that this transparency report earns you. And we always have links in the references section to everything you would ever want to know, going all the way through to the standard. So we even allow you to get a copy of the LCA report if somebody really wants to knock themselves out. You can read the PCR. And of course, it's also, the transparency report is downloadable as a PDF. We've also taken our single figure score methodology that we've developed for our LCA and eco-design software some years ago, and we've used it to try to make sense of these characterized results by rolling up these impact categories in each life cycle stage so that the user can see in a glance the relative impacts in each life cycle stage, understand what is contributing greater than 20%, to at least begin to understand really where are the impacts occurring in this product's life cycle. And up here, by the way, is the interpretation, what's causing the greatest impact. We have a simple explanation. And now Knauf can start talking about how they're making their products greener and what they're doing to improve. But before we go look at that, what we've done is we've also included the material health information, again, all in one place, because if you're a manufacturer and you're going to provide both kinds of disclosures that help AECs earn both kinds of credits, life cycle, environmental impact, and materials, why not have it all in one place? And so the format is the same as the LCA results. The left side is the technical explanation. And because there are 4 or 5 technical programs that the rating systems accept for material ingredient disclosure, we always start by explaining what program was used and how that program works. Lots of people don't know. You can see the results right there. You can see they have a red list free declare label. We have, again, little tool tips that help people understand what those levels mean. And here the manufacturer can talk about what's in the product and why. What are they doing to achieve a red list free declare label? And what are they doing to make it healthier? You can obviously link to the declare label. You can read the declare methodology, and you can see the value in the rating systems. But now here's page 3, and I invite everybody who is going to come take a look at this later. You can access this in multiple places. This is where you can learn about what the manufacturer and what Knauf is doing in every stage of the product's life cycle, contributing to the kind of performance improvement and transformation that they've achieved. And I want to point out that this is not typically found. In fact, it's rarely to never found in a traditional EPD because it's optional content. I want to bring your attention to the fact that because it is a Type 3 environmental declaration, all 3 pages have been verified by NSF, which means that every claim that's on page 3 has been verified. Knauf did have to submit documentation to support every statement that's provided here. And so now anybody accessing this information can feel confident that it's valid, it's credible, presented in a standardized way, all in one place. So let's say, now going back to our scenario, I happen to like this product, and I'm ready to start a project. So I'm going to start a project. Now, by the way, I've already set up an account in the transparency catalog, but I'm going to show you, because we're very, very clear about the reason to set up an account is only to be able to save information. It's a technical requirement to have a space where you can save your own information. That's the only reason to create an account. The only information you provide to set up an account is your first name, an email address, and a password. That's it. We're not harvesting information from you. Nobody's going to be reusing it for any other purposes. It is purely for you to be able to set up a project library to save your projects and your products. So I'm going to log back in and go back to my Jetstream Ultra product. Let's say now I want to start a project. Now, because I'm logged in and I already have some projects in my library, it's going to ask me, do I want to add it to a project I'm already working on, or do I want to start a new project? So I'm going to say I want to add it to a project I'm already working on. And you're going to see that in the project library, it comes with an example project. So I'm just going to select that example project, and you'll see here's the name of it. It's a healthcare project. You can put in as much or as little as you like to describe the project, because ultimately you're going to be sharing this information with your colleagues. And then you're going to be able to select and configure the products that you're adding to the project. Now, I just added the Jetstream Ultra, and you can see it's not configured yet. So there's the picture. I'm going to select the blow type. I'm able to select the R value that I like or that I need for the project. I can put in the amount. Now, if it's early in design, I might not know the amount, and that's fine. It's not required. Later in design, I might know. I can go back and put it in. Again, it's not required. It depends on it depends on the design stage that you're in and what you're using this content for. So I'm going to save my project, and let's go look at the project library. So here we are in the project library, and what you can see right at your fingertips are all of the spec guides for all of Knauf's products, along with a PDF with general guidance about how to specify Knauf products. They're always happy to have you call. But let's go into the example project. So now you can see here's the project with all the products, with all the configuration that I've done already. I can always edit that project, whenever I want, or I can go back to the non-editable view. Now let's say I'm ready to go to my client meeting to start discussing the products that we've selected to use in this major healthcare facility that we're designing. I can certainly always demo this online, but I can also download the project. And when I download the project, what I get is a zip file that contains all of the transparency reports and material health overviews, as well as a PDF of this example project page, like a cover sheet. So that's always there. You can email that around, you can print it out, you can do whatever you like with that. And now let's say you're getting ready to do some specification, but maybe you have some questions. Maybe I have some questions. So I'm going to click Contact Knauf. It puts in my default information because that's what the system knows about me. I can optionally put in my phone number, my company name, and I can put in the question that I have. If I want to contact them by email, I can certainly also call. But let's change scenarios for just one moment. Now imagine I'm a facility manager or someone who maintains an existing building, because it's not always about new construction. And I need to change the insulation in my mechanical room. I'm going to want to request a quote because I'm going to be responsible for purchasing this product. So this contact form can do double duty. If I want to request a quote, I can click that, fill in the rest of the information, title, project name, address, some of that's required. When I fill that in and I send it off to Knauf, what gets sent with it is the entire project. The specifications, that arrives at Knauf, and the Knauf folks will determine which distributor or reseller is going to be best equipped to provide a quote and sell that insulation to that facility manager. That's the demo. The process is simple. We've tried to make it very straightforward. But let me talk now about some of the educational content that we've built in that's accessible from a number of different points. First, let's look at this green building rating systems graphic. I think you might have seen it on the page 3 of the transparency report. It's also available from the showroom front page. And now you'll be able to see all of the products in the showroom and all of the credits that it can earn in all of the green building rating systems that also award product transparency. So that's right there. This is some really interesting and technical information done in a very simple way. And this really is Scott's brainchild. And we created it in response to the perception that the amount of embodied energy in the manufacture of insulation is a lot. People think, oh, there's so much embodied energy in the manufacture of insulation. So what we've done here is created a demonstration of how quickly you can pay back the environment for the embodied energy used to manufacture the product, how quickly that same amount of energy can be saved when that insulation is installed in a building. So you can see this is the standard climate zone model. You can select one of the climate zones, hit display payback model, and in a glance, you can see that embodied energy gets paid back in 70 days. So the amount of energy it took to make the insulation to insulate this 30,000 square foot building gets paid back in 70 days, which means that over the lifetime of the building, we're using 60 years because that's what LEED uses, you're going to save almost 32 million megajoules of energy and almost 5,500 equivalent barrels of oil. So all of this is documented. Here's the calculation methodology. We also provide some comparisons of the difference between the payback for embodied energy versus the payback for global warming. They're a little bit different, but still it's a quick payback. And everything you'd need to know about how the modeling was done is available here. And Scott is even willing to take your questions. So that's available. And then the third educational piece of content is that page 3 that you saw in the transparency report. We've also pulled it out, so it's generally available for anyone to be able to go in and see what is Knauf doing to contribute to making higher performing, greener and healthier and more transformative products. And that's what's in the showroom. Jumping back up to our presentation. So I just kind of want to connect the dots from the beginning of our story when we talked about the challenges and how are we addressing these challenges. The most urgent challenges, as identified by manufacturers and AECs, and in fact, this was validated at a meeting organized by the AIA at Greenbuild last week, where about 30 folks from all the constituent parties attended and had this discussion. What are the most pressing challenges? And these were those, the need for education across the industry. Everybody needs education, manufacturers and building professionals. Standardization of technical programs, as well as the standardization and delivery of the results. The ease of finding products with credible transparency information. There's a perception in the AEC community that there still are not a lot of products with transparency information, which is actually not true anymore. When we launched the transparency catalog last year at Greenbuild, there were 350 brands in the catalog representing all of the brands who had done business with any one of the program operators that do EPDs and any one of the material ingredient programs, HPD, Cradle to Cradle, Declare, 350. Today, as of the end of October, we have over 860 brands in the catalog. That means more than 500 manufacturers in 1 year have invested in some kind of product transparency disclosure, whether it's environmental or material ingredients. So that perception that there aren't a lot of products with transparency information is actually not accurate. There are a lot of products. They're just really hard to find. So finding them and making sure the information is credible. And then, of course, what we've been talking about is the ability for manufacturers to demonstrate an ROI. And at Sustainable Minds, we're very concerned about that because if manufacturers are not going to get rewarded by the marketplace for investing in product transparency and making credibly greener products, then you might stop. Manufacturers won't be incentivized to do it. They won't have the budgets to do it. People that care will be told, no, we're not going to do it anymore because we can't make money. And so if you look at now with the addition of the actionable components, starting off with the project builder, configurator, and library, we're building on the work that we've already done to respond to those top 4 needs. Learn what a manufacturer is doing to improve, find reports that are standardized, and using standard technical guidelines and delivery systems, making it easy to find products, but moreover, not just find products, but be able to specify them for projects, save them for reuse, and not just for a product you may be working on now, but be able to have a reference for project types that a firm may repeatedly design. So that hospital project may be kept as a general hospital project. So the next time that firm goes to design a hospital, they can go back and look at the products that they selected and how they were configured and not have to go through that process all over again. And then finally, the ability for manufacturers to demonstrate an ROI. So I'm going to say it out loud for the first time. The Knauf showroom is a massive lead generation solution. That's what it is. It's a lead gen solution. And when we talk to manufacturers, we talk with the marketing people and say, what does it cost for you to acquire a qualified lead? How much are you paying per lead? Many manufacturers don't have that number. They don't know that number. And typical lead gen, when you're buying analytics or just looking at traffic, you may be getting leads, but they're not qualified leads. This is a business model that people understand and they can be happy with, because the building professionals know that they're not going to be contacted without them requesting to be contacted. Their information is not going to be sold or reused. And the same goes for manufacturers. We don't sell analytics to third parties. That's not part of our business model. Both in the standard listing in the catalog, manufacturer can have their own Google Analytics tag on that page. Same thing in this whole system, the manufacturer can have their own Google Analytics. We also provide some data and analytics as part of this package that never goes to anybody else. That'll never be wrapped up and sold to any other third party doing research on the insulation industry. Not part of our business model. We're a mission-based company, and I've told you what that mission is. We're being transparent about how we make money. Manufacturers pay for marketing tools. We charge a subscription. Users never pay. It's always free. And beyond delivering qualified leads, both through requesting specification help and now requesting quotes online, this enables the manufacturer to deliver much more efficient and better customer service. Those documents are always in one place. The specification documents are always in one place. Now, if someone needs to find, in this case, a Knauf distributor, they don't need to ask a sales rep about that. They can go online, put as much of a specification together as they like, request a quote, and Knauf is going to route that request to the provider that's best suited to serve that request. So we're not only talking about better customer service from the user's perspective, we're talking about enabling a manufacturer to be more efficient and more effective.
Hey, Terry, we have 4 hands raised.
Okay.
We have 10 minutes left. So
perfect. I'm just wrapping up. We wanted to introduce you to Daniel Overby, who was one of the architects who worked with us from the very first cycle of strategy and development. And he really summarizes what we were hoping to achieve. As the director of sustainability of a good size firm, he's responsible not only for working on projects, but he's responsible for educating everyone in his firm about product transparency and sustainability. And so we've created an integrated experience that allows people to learn while they do. And that's the theme of this whole release. And I think you saw it on the Quick Start Guide. And now that Sustainable Minds and Knauf have created this functionality, it's now available to all featured brands in the transparency catalog. Scott, do you want to take a crack at one or more of those questions?
Sure, Terry. The first, David Peterson has his hand raised. David, what's your question?
I'm looking at the questions now. The hand raising is when folks indicated they could hear the.
Okay, what is the question?
He didn't ask a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, the other questions that have been posted have already been answered. So
Got it.
What I'll do is just finish with some of the wrap-up stuff. Now, some of the manufacturers who are here today on the call are not in a position to have a brand showroom yet or be a featured brand, which is fine because we have 4 levels of listing in the catalog. And the one that we encourage manufacturers to get started with is a standard listing. And that's how Knauf got started last year. And standard listing organizes all the products by master format division, links to the product in the manufacturer's website, provides access to all the disclosures, and gives you a snapshot of what those disclosure attributes are. It also includes some customer service tools, the ability to easily share a link to this listing so that people can find all the products with transparency information, and some social media tools. Again, Google Analytics are embedded, so the manufacturer can watch in real time who's using the listing. We are going for low cost, high value. So if you think about what does a manufacturer spend almost $4,000 on in any given year, some manufacturers spend that much taking their sales reps out for dinner at a trade show with customers, of course, but nonetheless, it's not a big number when you think about the efficiency and the effectiveness of being able to provide access to all your products with transparency information, both for customers, sales reps, partners, and making that delivery more efficient and effective. Whenever we work with a manufacturer who is making a judgment about whether the transparency catalog is going to be a good place for them to put some marketing dollars, we walk through this value proposition and ROI framework, and pretty quickly you can do some back of envelope calculations about time savings, value creation, so through cost reduction or value creation, and it adds up pretty quickly that even a standard listing gets your investment back tenfold very quickly in most organizations. So that is our story. That's Scott and me at Greenbuild last week, where we were demoing nonstop. It was really great. Got a lot of great feedback. There's a question. And the fee, which is what the question was about, is an annual subscription that a manufacturer pays to have their products listed in the catalog. It is always free to use. So, Scott, do you have any last comments that you'd like to leave folks with?
No, I don't. I just appreciate everybody's time being on the call today in the design community, and look forward to getting your feedback on what we've done. And please don't be shy. If there's something you like or dislike, let us know. We'd appreciate it. Thank you.
So go to the Transparency Catalog, go to the Knauf showroom, start a project, try it out. If you ever have any technical questions, there's a support link at the bottom of every page. So you can click that support link and it will send support requests to Sustainable Minds. But if you have questions for Knauf, click that contact link and send those questions off to Knauf. So we look forward to people trying it out, and we're going to stop here and wish you a great day.
Thank you, everybody.